What's up, y'all? It's KingBritneyChanel. You already know. So today's video is going to be on Vicki Yohe interviewing Tabitha Taylor. She is the former wife of Apostate Taylor. So stay tuned, y'all, if y'all want to hear my thoughts on her interview with Tabitha. And definitely make sure y'all hit the notification bell. Join the notification team, okay? And definitely make sure y'all subscribe. Let's get into my commentary.
I already know it's your girl Brittany Chanel.
All right, y'all. So y'all know I've been covering this whole story about Apostate Taylor because I told y'all when I originally started out, this particular ministry that's ran by this individual, Apostate Taylor, this has affected people in my family that I know, friends that I know, or people that I know. And so this was close to me, so I wanted to bring awareness to the situation. I also admired Tabitha Taylor and Vicki Yohe for their strength and courage to come out, because you know, a lot of people question women in ministry and what their role is, but they don't realize, they talk so much stuff about women and, you know, how the limitations on women, but they don't realize that God chose Mary to birth the Messiah. God chose Deborah to come up with Deborah's army and be a judge in Israel in a time when it was straight turmoil. And I'm thankful that the Most High God chose these women to come out and talk about this situation, because there's so many families being affected by this individual in this ministry. There's so many people that need to be set free from this particular ministry. This is not of God, people. We are dealing with demonic principalities in high places. This is a warlock, people. We need to understand that. But I was so grateful that a woman, like, you know, a lot of people could talk they trash about Vicki Yohe and Tabitha Taylor, but let me tell you something. Vicki Yohe, this is why I admire her. She didn't let sin stop her from doing the right thing, or the shame of her sin stop her from doing the right thing. And I think that's why a lot of people are not delivered, because they want to hide sins. Like, God already knows that you sin. God already knows the ending and the beginning of your story. So for you to want to hide things, it's like, why? When God exposed it so you could be free from the snare of the fowler. Because if you constantly worry about things that people can expose on you, and you're not setting yourself free by just speaking it out. And I love how both of these women said, regardless of the fact, if you expose me for whatever, I'm still going to set these people free by giving my testimony, and I'm going to not stop until this warlock is defeated. This year, 2019, is going to be the year when this all falls down. It will not be another year. This person is being arrested by the power of the Most High God, and it is a mandate that he is going to be coming down this year. And this just reminded me the strength of these women, especially Vicki. It reminded me of Moses, when God had Moses tell Pharaoh, let his people go. And this is the same similar situation. So I really wanted to let y'all hear both of these two powerful women in ministry together tell this story, because this has to stop, people. You know, it's been a lot of people that tried to expose him over the years, but you know, it was he went to fester and grew. And a lot of people, you know, they say stuff like, oh, y'all gossiping, oh, y'all just need to pray. No, faith without works is dead. And sometimes God gives you orders. You know, even David had to ask God, should I pursue? And sometimes you can't. It's like prayer is just like, okay, you pray so that you can have a connection and a relationship with the Father, and so that you can get instructions. But once you receive instructions, it's time for action. You can't be saying, praying and not taking action is the reason why this has went on as long as this went on. Because this individual, it's been alleged that he has been doing this stuff for years, okay? I went to this ministry probably like in the 2000s. They say he was doing this stuff, you know, it could date back to allegedly the 90s, they claim. So I just want y'all to hear a little bit of the testimony of Tabitha Taylor. I know I have a video up of Tabitha Taylor talking about a few things on my channel, but I definitely wanted y'all to hear Vicki and her talk together, because this was a powerful thing. I'm not going to play, the whole audio because it's an hour and like 13 minutes and 59 seconds. So I definitely will put the link to the page with all her videos so that y'all can recap what y'all need to recap, if that is okay with y'all. So let me get into the video real quick.
Hello, Tabitha.
Hello, Vicki. How are you?
I'm great, and I'm so sorry we couldn't get you. We couldn't see you because I was telling everybody if they've never seen you, you're just so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're a gorgeous woman of God, and we just, you know my story, and we've been. It's been since I think it was December 20th when I made my confession and sounded the alarm, and really have I don't know. I feel like I'm on a mission. I know my assignment, and so I just want you to share what you feel led to share. You know, you've been dealing with this much longer than me. I mean, what you've been dealing with, my Lord, makes mine just so small compared to what you've dealt with. And so I just want you to share your heart just for the next few moments, and I'll interject, okay?
Alrighty. Well, hello, everyone. Well, I guess for those that have never... Can you hear me, Vicki?
Yes, we hear you good.
Okay, great. For those that have maybe never heard anything about my story, I guess I'll kind of start from the beginning and just go through it as brief as I can. But of course, like you said, my name is Tabitha Taylor, and I was married to David for about 13 years. I was with him for 12 years before I decided to leave. And the reason why I decided to leave was because of so many things that took place over a process of time. And I felt like he was never going to sit down and get any help. When I first met David, he was in ministry. He was running a revival at a small local church here in St. Louis in the inner city. And I was just blown away at what I saw. And because I had just gotten saved, I hadn't been saved before a couple months, and I was so excited about the things of the Lord and what God was doing, I didn't want to miss anything. I went to service night after night. After the revival came to an end, because some of the leaders there also started seeing things in him that wasn't, that they didn't feel was okay or right. So toward the end of the revival, David ended up opening up his ministry for people to join. Myself and a few other people joined his ministry, and we became a part of it. Shortly after we became members of his ministry, I found myself being involved with him. I did have a dream of me a warning dream of me kissing him, and I shared the dream with him. Before I knew it, we were involved with each other. We had sex outside of marriage, and I got pregnant. Because I was pregnant, I believe that's ultimately the real reason why he married me, was to cover the ministry.
Yeah.
But there were some leaders in the city, in St. Louis, that had come to him and told them they felt like God was showing him that I was his wife. But there were rumors and things that were going on, and we covered it. We acted like everything that I had the baby prematurely, and she came early. But the truth is that we had sex outside of marriage. And about a year after we had gotten married, and I'm going through the story pretty quickly, so that people can kind of get a chance to hear it, and I get to some of the other things. But after we had been married for about a year, David, I found out for the first time that he had cheated on me with one of the women that were in the ministry. And God also, of course, warned me of that as well. And the reason why I want people to understand that God was speaking to me the entire time.
Please listen to her when she say this, honey, because God will send you red flags and signs. He not going to leave you just out there hanging people. The voice of the Lord, you got to understand, like, he will wave on flags, but people out of their own flesh and feelings sometimes will ignore that. So that was powerful that she said that, because, you know, me as a young woman myself, you know, sometimes I see red flags and I'm just like, oh, well, I like this person. But you got to learn how to listen to the voice of God. And I also wanted to say that I don't have any firsthand knowledge of what these two women are discussing, okay? This is their testimony, or Tabitha Taylor's testimony. about this situation. Vicki Yohe just asked everybody to share the testimonies, okay? So I'm using my platform to give this a bigger, following so it could have awareness, okay? And also it's 165 shares. So I'm going to put the link to this video and I want y'all to share this video in this live, please.
About things, but I chose to ignore the voice of the Lord for different reasons, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but I found out that he had cheated on me. I ended up staying with him even after that. I was pregnant at the time when I found out, and my world crumbled. I was crushed, literally, because I loved him. I wanted to be with him, but of course, I didn't know him. Let me back up a little bit. David and I we were pregnant. I told him about it. A leader called him and told him that I was his wife. 2 weeks later, we got married. Because David had previously had a situation where he was supposed to marry a young lady, and the parents stepped in and they stopped it.
Wow.
David told me the reason because of that I could not have any family members there, and I couldn't tell anybody or anything. So I got married in a church with some church members, but none of my family members were there. My best friend wasn't there. No one was there. And then the day that we actually got married, when the pastor said, "Kiss the bride," David kind of turned his head from me a little bit. And he told me some crap about, he didn't want to kiss me in front of everybody, like he was embarrassed or something like that. So,
did she say that he turned his head from kissing her at the wedding and then none of her family could be there? Like, this is crazy, God. This is wild. Like, all this secretive stuff, honey, that's that ain't nothing but the devil. These are once again allegations being made by his former, Apostate Taylor's former wife. This is her testimony, her truth, according to her, okay? So, like I said, y'all, please share this. This is wild.
So it was, from the very beginning, it was never about that David was in love with me. It was just all lust, okay?
Wow.
So we got involved with each other. We got married. We were pregnant. I had my baby. The first young lady that he had cheated with in the ministry, we were involved with her, and she was married at the time. Her and her husband was a part of our ministry.
Wow.
And then shortly after that, another lady, God will reveal to me in a dream and show me that he was sleeping with someone, or he'll deal with me about something, and then I would go to him, and he would confess and be honest about it. And then another young lady came about, and she as well was involved with him. And the third lady that I found out about while we were together was actually the lady that he had a child with. So over the process of time, all of this took place with all of the women. Well, you all know, of course, that he sleeps with a lot of women. That's not new to anybody that's listening on this call. But the things that also became very devastating was a lot of people joined his ministry, and most of the people that joined his ministry were very, very excited and on fire for God, Vicki. These people loved the Lord. They had a great passion for God. And these people sacrificed everything. They gave everything to David. All of the things that you all are hearing right now, those things were going on back then. It's just that it wasn't the magnitude or to the degree of so many.
Just to interject right there, a lot of people say the same thing that she's saying. The time that I had visited this ministry, it was not to the extreme that the stories that it is now. It's like when like when God had that story and he told them kill them all, and they didn't do it, and then that spirit just festers and it grows. That's what this situation did, honey. I promise y'all.
Many people. We had a smaller staff. It may have been about maybe 30 of us, give or take. It was a lot of couples in our ministry. We had a multicultural ministry, and they sacrificed. A lot of them gave up their jobs, and they worked endlessly. We did not pay them. I think there may have been one little season where he may have cut some checks for like maybe $20 to everybody or something like that.
$20?
None of us got paid on a regular basis. And people would be there, and they would work all day and all night, especially the people that were really close to him. He had two men that were there that were really, really close to him. There was a young lady that was there that was really close to him. She would do like the graphic designs and different things, and they would have to be with him all the time. They were there working day in and day out, and they weren't getting paid.
Wow.
There were people that would have to go to the gas station and beg people for money to put gas in the cars so that they can get around. And the reason why I'm sharing these things also, Vicki, is because, you know, there's a...
Wait a minute. Didn't that guy, Chris, that she interviewed say that he had to go and wash the cars and that they would, they weren't getting paid and they were living in that church? And then on the story about the girl Jenny that Vicki did, the story that the sister told was that Jenny couldn't even get a job. She had to, you know, he would tell her allegedly to not get a job and you need to focus on working at the ministry. So this is crazy. Tabitha kind of, her story is lining up with the other people's. This is crazy.
Quote, there's a saying that says, and actually I put my paper back here so I don't forget any notes, but there's a saying that says the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. You know,
yes.
And when I first came out and I started sharing my story with everyone, when I left David, I didn't follow David's ministry. I did not know David was this well known, if you all want to know the truth. I had to, for myself personally, I had to shut off from him, and as much as possible, I did not talk to him. I had to deal with him to some degree because of my children, but because of the level of control and manipulation that I had been under, I had to completely disconnect myself from him. Now, there were moments early on when I first left that I thought about trying to go, well, we would get together, you know, and try to see if it would work out. Like maybe he came over to my house. One time I had an apartment, and he came over, and we were together. We actually slept together after we separated. We weren't divorced, but we were separated. And I went off to work. I left him there in my apartment and went off to work. Well, come to find out, I got a call, if I'm not mistaken, I got a call from my son, and was like, David is going through your stuff. My oldest son, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. But someone called me and said something about David, or either David called me. One way or the other, I got a phone call, and David was going through all of my private things and going through my journals and stuff like that. And once again, it all blew up. He was taking things out of my house and things of that nature. So at that point, I knew once again, I cannot trust you. I can't deal with you. You are still the same way. You want to control everything and run everything. So that did not work out. When I first left David, Vicki, when I decided to walk away from him, I walked away from him with completely nothing, okay?
Wow.
I snuck out of the house, actually, is what I did. I packed up all of my stuff and snuck my stuff out of the house. And then he came back in town because he was out of town. He came back in town, and then I told him that I was going to leave. Because I knew if I did not do it that way, that I was going to be controlled and talked about, and he was going to tell me that I was going to die and go to hell and I would be judged, and how could I leave someone like him? So, you know, those are some of the things that happened. But back to the story about the staff members, and then I'll go back a little bit about some of the situations that went on with me personally. But the staff members worked day and night, Vicki.
Wow.
They were not paid for what they were doing. There was one young...
Didn't the lawyer on that deposition ask him how he had all those people volunteering, you know, and they asked was they getting paid on that deposition? Peep game, y'all. Peep game.
Lady that was sleeping with him, it was the second young lady that I found out about. And she also was married, and one of his very, very close armor bearers was this woman's husband. And they would, she would have dreams and visitations. We were told she would have visitation. It seemed like to us as if she would have visitations like every day, every other day, allegations where Jesus was validating David and he was condemning all of us and sending us to hell. And of course,
Ain't no way.
I remember there was one in particular time that all of us were called to a meeting, and they put chairs out, and we sat in the chairs. And this young lady said that Jesus had appeared to her and told her that all of us were traitors and that we were betraying David and that we were dying, we were going to die and we were going to go to hell. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I was in the meeting because usually I was the one that it seemed like was the worst out the bunch. It was a couple of us. One of the young men and the graphic designer and myself, we were the ones that seemed to have gotten the worst out of everybody. People even called and said that I had horns growing out of my head. And, all this time he's sleeping with all of these women. When everything came out, it was about maybe 13 women at the time when I first found, when everything literally came out.
Tabitha, can I say something? And you can continue on. As his bride and you were his wife, you would think that he'd want to protect you and be, not put you in that position with everyone. But he didn't do that, right?
No, and I'm glad you actually asked that, Vicki, because the way he set things up, and let me even back up a little bit, but the way that he set things up was, I didn't have very much respect in the ministry. He was the leader. It was his ministry. It was never ours or us. Yeah, he made them in the beginning, he made them call me First Lady or whatever, but I wasn't Pastor Tabitha or Prophetess Tabitha or anything like that. I was First Lady. And then if I ever did anything wrong, I remember there was one time I did something he considered was wrong, but he stripped me of my authority. And he told them, everybody in the staff members, do not call her First Lady, call her Tabitha. So, yeah, he would do stuff like that. There was one time, Vicki, I heard you the other night talk about you had to go in a meeting with two of the women.
Yeah,
I went through that as well. So when I would do things that he didn't like, he would send some of the women that he was sleeping with, mind you, two of the women that he was sleeping with, he sent them to rebuke me.
Wow.
Okay? And I had to sit in a meeting and listen to them rebuke me and deal with me. Okay?
That's not someone that loves you. Someone that loves you does not put their queen, the love of their life, in the hands of when I was in Israel, two women that literally said everything that I was, only thing I had going for me was a voice, and I know he's sleeping with those two. I mean, that was a red flag for me back in October, and I just kept, I had a lot of red flags.
I don't understand, like, it would have had to been like a Holy Ghost slap, because ain't no way two people keeping me sat down in a chair and I'm finna sit there and listen to what they have going on. And Vicki explained it in her last video. She said, like, she at first she was so brainwashed and so gone that she thought that she needed the chastisement. She thought that, thank you, I needed that, and this is how gone he be having these individuals allegedly, to where they would sit and listen to people berate them and say mean things to them. And this is just spiritual. This is abuse, y'all. Like, this is the way it's sounding, the way these allegations are sounding. This is sounding like abuse.
But as his wife, that's right there to put you in that position.
Yes.
I mean, that's
awful.
I can't believe he did that to you.
No, well, that's the thing, though, David. Vicki, is that in this ministry, when you're dealing with someone that, we're all likening David's ministry to a cult.
Yeah.
And when you deal with someone like him, I do believe that he's narcissistic.
Oh, definitely.
I do too.
I definitely believe that. And one of the characteristics of cult leaders, they're narcissistic, okay? And he has an obsession with authority. He did not tolerate rebellion, disobedience, or anything from any of his staff members.
He the alleged end-time general.
His children, no one was able to get away with anything. So with that being said, I want people to understand something as well. Because he's always dealing with things and it appears that he doesn't tolerate rebellion or disobedience, it seems like he's teaching us truth. But the way that that he does it, it is control and it's manipulation. We're being dealt with because of our flaws and our faults, but he's not being dealt with. David would have people, he would say, Bishop G. Patterson was his leader, but no one really was right there that really, truly spoke into his life. There was no one that we really did submit to for real. I remember even after a lot of things came out, we went and submitted to a leader in St. Louis. But even in that, when they began to really deal with us and correct things, it didn't matter what those leaders said. David was going to do what he wanted to do anyway. There was one pastor by the name of Pastor Rick Shelton that we were supposed to submit to. But then, even though you're supposed to submit to him, Pastor Rick tried to help David. We were having meetings with him. But no matter what the leaders told him to do, and no matter what David would sit up and say in front of the leaders, because David is very smart. David knows how to be very humble with people that he needs to be humble.
That false humility kills me. That false humility he has, I can't stand
Exactly.
it. Oh, my God.
Exactly. And so he knew
Vicki
exactly what to
eyes.
do. So he knew what role to play with the right people. But when we were back at home, he dealt with us very, very harshly. The staff members got rebuked all the time. But let me finish that up real quick, and then I'll go back to that.
Wasn't they telling everybody allegedly that they was dealing in pride? Everybody but him, right, was dealing with pride. And didn't he allegedly tell Juanita Bynum that she ain't on his rank, or he got this rank and he here and he the one who's the end time general allegedly, and he gonna be judging people on the judgment seat allegedly? And then this the same individual who said he the one who speaks to God and he sees God face to face and all this crazy stuff. So to me, it seems like all of their stories so far is kind of fitting together like a puzzle piece. Because Vicki was telling us before, when she first told her story, that when they sat her down, they was like, you prideful, you dealing with pride. So it seemed like they not lying on this part.
With Pastor Rick Shelton, because Pastor Rick really did try to help David. But whenever Pastor Rick did not agree with David or receive him the way that he wanted him to, then David would sit up and say that Pastor Rick was going to be judged, and Pastor Rick was this, and he was that,
Everybody
and
be
that he was
judged
going to get sick. And anytime anything ever happened to anyone that was what he considered an enemy of his, he
it don't
would
seem like these people lying, period.
That's the reason why they got sick, or that's the reason why their church went through whatever it was that they went through. So
like he's
these
God.
are things that happen all the time. Yeah. And one time we went to Pastor Rick. Now, if this is a leader that you are submitted to, if this is someone that you're really truly trying to allow them to help you, there was one time we went to the church. This is how messed up we all were, and we were enablers. We yielded and we surrendered our wills to this man and allowed him to control us and manipulate us. That's exactly what we did. We yielded to him. But we would dress up and put on our best garments. We would pull up in all of the Mercedes and all of the cars, and we would put on all these after five clothes and walk up in their Tuesday night service and show off and showboat. We'll pull up to the front, and all of his armor bearers and all of them have their earpieces and things in, and it was just pride. It was arrogance, and we did these things, and this was not the Spirit of God. This was arrogance and pride that took place. And the Bible says pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall, and we did things like that. Any time that David was blessed greatly with certain things, we always showed things off. He never really supported me and my family members. I remember there was one time I did have a funeral in my family, and he went. But I know he only went because he had just bought me a Mercedes-Benz.
Wow.
And he had his Mercedes, and then he bought me mine. And we didn't go together, Vicki. We went separately to show off the car. God. And so that's not the love of God.
This is
because
sad.
there was a time I wanted to actually go to a funeral with my family. And it was my favorite aunt that had died, my grandmother's aunt that had passed. And David would not allow me to go to the funeral. We went to a conference that he did not even preach at. And I didn't ask him to go with me. I just wanted to go myself. But he would not let me go. We went to that conference. The pastor that was preaching in that service that morning was preaching about how, if I'm not mistaken, mistaken, it was Bishop Jakes talking about how God was dealing with him and showing him that when people die in your family, you should go and take them food and show love to them and minister to them in that way. And I knew God was speaking and confirming to me then that God, that was not the will of God for me to be there. But David was controlling. There were many family members that missed funerals. There were, not family members, but staff members that missed funerals. They weren't allowed to work. They would go and get jobs sometimes, and then he would tell them they're not available, they're falling asleep, they need to quit their jobs, they need to come back and work in the ministry. No one had a life. People's families fell apart. There was a young lady that was in the ministry because of the manipulation and because she slept with him, she lost her entire family.
Wow.
Not her entire family, but her husband walked away from her.
My God.
Walked away from everything, and destroyed that lady's family in her home. There were other family members that their families were destroyed. There are people that are still struggling concerning salvation right now because of what took place. This was destruction that was going on. Everybody's story that is coming forth, Vicki, is the same.
They all go together.
Parallel. Everything is pretty much the same. There's nothing different.
Seems like the truth to
David
me.
has been doing this. I married David in 1996.
I told
We
y'all
slept
tonight.
together before then. So this is 2019. This is how long these things have been taking
Wow,
place.
my
And
God.
the spirit is growing worse and worse. It is getting stronger and stronger. And I understand where the people are at right now that are in his ministry because we defended David at all costs. Yes. I was isolated from my family. They thought I was crazy. My mother, my family, none of them liked David, but I did not allow them to talk about him. I didn't talk about him to them. If anybody ever came against David or said anything, we all validated him. We all stood for him.
Would you lie for him?
Pull me away from.
Would you
this
lie
is
for him?
deep.
I even lied for him. Yes, I did.
Ooh.
There was a young lady that was in the ministry that was sleeping with David, and the husband was on the phone, overheard their conversation. I sat at the table with this man, and I lied for David. I lied for him. And I believe all of this began, there was a pastor, you all, that was a part of David's ministry, and he loved David. He really did. He loved him very much. But this pastor said something one day. He said, heaven agrees with everything David said. Listen to this. He said, heaven agrees with everything David said. And I believe the staff began to believe that. I believe David even began to believe that. Because David, at one time, I believe he really did truly love God and walk in the things of God, Vicki. I do believe that. When I first was introduced to his ministry, he really did. I felt God's spirit. I felt God's presence. But as pride came in, pride began to bring destruction. Destroyer came in. Jezebel came in. And I want to say this also. God dealt with David about all of these things. David had dreams. God spoke to this man. He warned him, even now, of what you are doing. Your platform is there. Yeah, I came forth, I shared some things. Other people came forth and shared some things. But as you said, you have the platform. And because you have the platform, the world is hearing this.
Yes, I believe that.
But God gave David a dream many years ago. And I have even personally thought about picking up the phone and calling him and talking to him like, okay, David, this is me and you. I know you. You don't have to front or pretend with me. I know your faults and your flaws. I was married to you for a long time. You remember God dealt with us back in those days. God gave David a dream of his hands being over his face. And it was plastered all over everywhere. And he was ashamed of something that happened.
Yes.
And he thought it was a situation that happened back in 2004 or 5, where women came and stood in my living room and confessed to me that they had been sleeping with him with their husbands for years. When they pulled out, Vicki, they pulled out a tape recorder. We were at our church at the time, and we had Bible study, but a lot of staff members didn't come. A lot of staff members didn't come, and they did not disobey David. You hear me? No one disobeyed. Everyone was at every service. I don't care how tired they were. I don't care how sick they were there. But this in particular night, Bible study went on, but a lot of people didn't show up. We were like, what's going on? What's wrong? So after our ministry. He had only been there about a year, so he hadn't been molded and broken fully. So he called me. He said, tell David that he needs to come home right now. We need to talk to him and tell him to leave the children at the office. No one gave David commands, Vicki, at all. Did you hear me? No one gave him commands. So I told him, he said, tell him that my wife told me something about him. I told him what he said. She left immediately. We get in the car and we're driving home. He pulls over to the side of the road and he says to me, I slept with so-and-so and so. And I want you to tell him that we didn't sleep together. Just tell him that we kissed. I proceeded to get out the car, but being under the control, I got back in the car. We went on home. We get home. It's three couples standing at my door. We let them in. They come in and begin to share with me how they have been sleeping with him all these years, the women. Okay? And one of the armor bearers were really, really, really close to him, one of the women that confessed. And so then they proceed. They go on and tell me everything. They pull a tape recorder out, Vicki. And they pull a tape recorder out of the young lady that had a baby by him. And she begins to say, yes, the baby that I was pregnant with is by David. I'm like, are you kidding me? Wow. So that's how I found out that she was carrying his child.
She was young, right? She was very young.
They told me that she was pregnant by a boyfriend and that she needed to leave and go out of town.
Wow.
But I do want to clarify this since I'm speaking on the subject, because Larry Reed actually made a statement saying that I knew about it and we moved her into our home and she was rubbing my feet. That's a lie. I never knew about the young lady who she was pregnant with. She was pregnant by David, but I didn't find out about that until they played the tape recorder. That's how I found out that he had sex with this young lady and got her pregnant. So, but that's how I found out about it. And after that, then people started to leave. And we thought, Vicki, that was the dream that he had with his hands over his face, but that was not the dream. Okay? I believe the dream is now, because everybody is hearing about this because of your platform. And, you know, I did not know the magnitude of what David was doing until you came forth. When you brought Chris on, that's when I knew. I broke down that night and began to weep and cry after I heard what he said. I began to weep and cry because my son is...
I'm gonna tell y'all this, and I feel like she's telling the truth because I heard of stories, and you know, of it happening to people that I know and family and that sort of thing, but I never knew it was to this extreme the way they describing it. I knew it was some stuff going on, but when Chris, like she said, told his story and gave his testimony, because I have no firsthand knowledge of his particular situation, and said them people was living in the church, I said, oh, or that they was allegedly living in the church, I said, oh my God, this is crazy.
Still there. Because my son is still there, and I'm sure he's going through the same things that these people are going through.
Your son's
it warms
not
my heart to hear.
Your son, I got to tell you something.
Yes.
I want to tell you this real quick, then we want you to get back. But last Christmas, I brought your son a gift, okay? And, of course, I'm thinking I'm the only woman, you know? I'm thinking I'm the only woman. I've been, you know, seeing him since August. It was Christmas, so I brought him a little gift card to Abercrombie or something like that. And I brought him to the office, and I said, well, Merry Christmas. I said, and he just looked at me, he's real sad, you know? And I said, this is a gift to you. I said, you know, me and your dad were dating. And he just looked at me and goes, oh, really? Oh, really? And because David told me he told him, but he didn't tell him. And so he never, and I gave him a little bit of hug. That boy right now is so sad. I know you don't want to hear this, but he never hardly ever smiles. That boy's got, because can you imagine all the stuff that he's seen, Tabitha, all the womanizing. And I told David after I made my confession, I said, your poor son, pray to God that you can be faithful to a wife, faithful to one woman. You are a horrible example to your children, to your son, how to treat a woman. My Lord, if you're, you know, now that I know, since I made my confession, Tabitha, over 41 women came forward to me saying that they're sleeping with him, and they told him, he told them that they were going to be his wife.
Wow. Yeah, and absolutely.
But your son's coming out of that. This year, your son's out of that. He's coming out of that.
Amen. I agree.
Honey, her armor bearer going off over there.
Amen.
All right, y'all. So I stopped it at a certain point because this video, I didn't want it to be, that long. The whole thing is an hour. So if y'all want to check out that video to her Vicki Yohe's live with Tabitha, the interview, I will leave the link down below. But this is just my heart and my prayers go out to these families and everybody that's affected by this individual. This is going to be the year 2019 that demonic ministry is coming down. Apostate, like it's over. It's over. You don't get a time, it's up. You don't get another year, another moment to do any of this to these people. The well is running dry. I've heard that some of his engagements and stuff, people are starting to get the message. And with Vicki and her platform, this is getting out to more people than it has ever gotten out to before. I know a lot of people, they thought, oh, just, he's going to get exposed for a couple of weeks and then, but this is different this time. Like, I feel that it is different because you can tell, like, there's like bloggers on here on YouTube that are talking about this individual. And this person has been in depositions and everything, like gave a false Super Bowl prophecy, all of that. And he's been getting exposed time after time. And, pride comes before the fall and destruction and everything else. And so he's propped up at his highest. So it's time to come down. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts about this whole situation. I felt like both of these women, I thank God that they had the courage to stand up because, most people don't. Most people say, oh, I've sinned, I've fallen short, I don't want to come out, and I don't have the courage to do so. And I'm just thankful to the Most High God that these two women, they came out to tell their story, because if they had not came out to tell their story, God knows where some of these individuals would have been, or if these individuals would have been coming out this year. But I think that God orchestrated this whole thing, and it's all divine timing due to the Most High God wanting to put, a stop to this. So y'all let me know y'all thoughts on this whole situation down below. It's KingBritneyChanel. Definitely make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back with more views on the news.